Meanwhile, Kenya will close the world's largest refugee camp this year. Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto says the facility poses an existential threat after a series of attacks. The United Nations and Western states have warned against forcibly repatriating the 350,000 or so Somalis who still live in the sprawling Dadaab camp in northeast Kenya, saying it would violate international obligations. But Ruto, speaking to a UN humanitarian summit in Istanbul, said the international community had failed Somalia, still struggling to recover from the anarchy of the 1990s.
When we say the refugee camps pose an existential security threat to Kenya, we have facts, we have figures, and we can demonstrate that that indeed is the case. And that is why we expect the international community to work with Kenya in the framework of the tripartite agreement to expedite the repatriation of these refugees back home, because we believe that they can make huge positive contribution in their country in Somalia.
Let's get you more now on this from CCTV's Mikhail Bardavid in Istanbul. Mikhail, take us through the first day of the summit. What were the key highlights?
Yes, the way to give more aid and ways to do that was discussed during the first day of the summit. That was a key point, ways to find new solutions, innovative, creative solutions to actually find ways so that the aid, that the targets that they're discussing in the summit can actually be achieved, because it's how they try to do these goals is what is key. And that is what Ban Ki-moon is also emphasizing. He mentioned that there needs to be a new system. So there's a lot of talk of ways that the structure of the humanitarian system can be reformed at this moment. Ways to fix this system at the moment is being discussed. And among other topics on the agenda here on the second day of the summit is protecting civilians in conflict. Focus on education and children is important at the topics right now. Why aid is failing is being discussed, and as well as empowering women. That is also a main discussion point here at the summit. And of course, one more topic is mine clearing, which is important because, yes, they would like to deliver more aid and they're trying to find more funding for this. But if the areas of these conflicts are not cleared of mines, of bombs, of other IEDs, then of course the aid cannot be delivered. So there's an emphasis of mine clearing at the summit here today as well.
And of course, this summit is being held in Turkey, which itself is dealing with huge numbers of refugees. How is it coping with those numbers and the humanitarian situation in general?
Yes, for Turkey, of course, this is a difficult situation. Turkey has been carrying a lot of the burden due to the Syrian crisis. This was an emphasis made by the Turkish president at the first day of the summit. He called on the community to share the burden that Turkey is carrying at this moment due to the Syrian crisis. 2.7 million refugees, Syrian refugees, are in Turkey at this moment, hosted by Turkey, and 1.4 million of those are children. And this is just according to official figures. In Turkey, we believe that the number is actually much even higher. Turkey has spent over $10 billion at this moment for hosting the refugees. So yes, there is still a lot more need for camps, a lot more need for educational programs for the children who are here. So Turkey is managing right now this burden of the refugee crisis. However, much more needs to be done for Turkey to actually fulfill the requirements of all these refugees who they're hosting at the moment.
All right, Mikhail Bardavid, live for us there in Istanbul. Many thanks, Mikhail.